West Virginia big man Jimmy Bell was ready to scrap last night after West Virginia's 76-72 loss to the TCU Horned Frogs. What made him so angry? We're going to talk about it right after the intro. What is going on, college hoops fans? This is Couz.
And I am Mountaineer Paul.
And we present to you what is going on, ladies and gents out there. We're here to talk today about the big hullabaloo. I guess that's the right word to call it. The popular topic on social media today regarding West Virginia basketball. It's not about the game. It's about Jimmy Bell and the brouhaha he got in after the game with some TCU fans. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Ethan Bach over at West Virginia Sports Now. He's the first person he's the source that I first saw this article from, and I'm going to post it on the screen for you. And then Paul and I are going to give our thoughts on it. It says, WVU's Jimmy Bell heated with TCU fans post-game. Following West Virginia's loss to number 15 TCU on Tuesday night, WVU forward Jimmy Bell was seen visibly heated with TCU's fans. Bell needed to be held back by teammates, per Tony Caridi. And for those of you who don't know, Tony Caridi is the play-by-play guy for West Virginia. WVU head coach Bob Huggins had calm Bell down. TCU head coach Jamie Dixon also tried to help Bell. And here's a quote from Coach Huggins in his post-game radio interview. From what I understand, one of them was pointing his finger at Jimmy Bell's mother's face, which Jimmy didn't take very kindly to, quote. Now, here's Ethan Bach's, for those of you who are watching, here's Ethan Bach's tweet on the issue with a photo of what happened. It says, something was said to Jimmy Bell from the TCU student section during the postgame handshake. Bell visibly frustrated, and there he is. You can see Jamie Dixon and Bell's teammates trying to hold him back from going after somebody in the TCU student section. In the background, you see Alex Ruoff, Eric Stevenson heading that direction, running to try to also hold Jimmy back. Huggins made it clear that Bell isn't the type of person to lash out without cause. He's not that kind of kid, Huggins said. Bell played 18 minutes. Well, it goes on to talk about his stats. I'm not going to get into that right now. But it says after the incident, Bell tweeted his thoughts. In his replies, TCU fans are accusing Bell of throwing a water bottle into the stands. And here's Jimmy Bell's tweet about the incident. I don't care who you are. You can say what you want to me, but when you disrespect my mama, that's it. That's personal. Take it up with God straight up. And, of course, there are 60 replies. I'm not going to show you all of them, but basically it's a lot of photos of water bottles from TCU fans and a lot of WVU fans coming to his defense. That's pretty much the extent of it. So, Paul, what are your thoughts, man?
It's one of those situations where there's Jimmy's side, there's the fan side, and there's probably the truth. Without video evidence, not exactly sure what that is and what it looks like. How close was that finger to his mom's face, for instance? That, to me, that matters. If it was 6 or 8 feet away, then not as big a deal, right? But it's after the game. He's emotional. So probably anything towards his mom was going to set him off. Now, if it was directly in her face, every right to defend her. If it's from, 10 feet away, I don't know, but all we have is what Bob Huggins said. It said it was right in her face. So the way I feel is I'd have probably reacted very similarly. And what I understand and what you've tried to explain to me as well is the water ball may have ricocheted into the stands and not so much that he threw it into the stands. So if that's the case as well, obviously they're trying to make something bigger than it is. And then they're trying to troll as a result rather than get to the heart of the issue, which is people were disrespecting somebody's mother in public. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be a Christian university. they like to say that they don't call themselves Texas Christian University anymore, which is why they shortened it to TCU. So apparently they're probably seem to be ashamed of. Like to
Me
know
too.
what you have to say about that.
Dude, that's a very, very, very big pet peeve of mine, man. I think TCU as a institution in itself is a hypocrite, but that's a whole separate conversation. Um, but yeah, the fans of TCU, like you mentioned, the Ricochet. Yeah, he was accused of throwing a water bottle. I read somewhere this morning online. I don't remember where I read it at. I don't know if it was social media. Don't know if it was an article, but nonetheless, somebody said that Jimmy Bell was frustrated. You know, he had a bad game. The fans were chirping at him. He got frustrated and was throwing a water bottle like towards his seat, towards the bench, and it ricocheted into the student section. Now, I don't know if that's true. Like I said, you or I were not there to witness it. But if that happened, then they're blowing it way out of proportion because he had no ill intent whatsoever. If he threw a water bottle purposely into the student section, I have a problem with that. He should not have done it. It's
Right.
uncalled for. But however, I think we can separate that issue from the mother issue, right? That's a totally separate issue to me because Jimmy even said in his tweet, "You can disrespect me all you want, but don't disrespect my mama." And I think that's the situation. The TCU fans, one reason I'm upset with them, number one, I have seen not one tweet, and of course, obviously, I've not seen all of the tweets, but I've seen a lot. And I've not seen one tweet where they're saying, well, our fan was in the wrong for sticking his finger in her face. I've not seen it one time. Not one time. So to me, are they condoning their own fans' behavior by not coming out against it? That's the first thing I have a problem with. And the second thing, and then I'll get your comments on both of these, is this tweet right here from a TCU fan who was at the game named Zach Peterson. Very, very inappropriate tweet right here that I'm going to show. Obviously, you've got a photo of the incident, but look what he puts above it. Get Bell out of here, thug. He calls Jimmy Bell a thug for defending his own mother. So I want you to start off by giving your thoughts on those comments.
Well, we all know that Jimmy Bell's not a thug. That's something that Tupac Shakur was proud of being, right? Somebody, a thug is typically somebody that's a game banger, that's a street kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that's regarded to a negative scope publicly, and so kind of smudges the line. But anytime an African American gets angry and has to be restrained, doesn't mean he's a thug. And it gets into the stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to racially profile people. We don't want to stereotype people. Just because he's mad and has to be restrained doesn't mean he's a thug. It means he was emotional after releasing all these different endorphins and things for so many hours in an emotional type setting. It's almost like the punchline to a joke for this to have happened right after.
Mm-hmm.
Almost anybody would fall for it to different extents. I'm not saying everybody would have to be restrained or whatever, but many people would be upset in the same situation. So I guess I'm a thug too, and I guess that's really all I have to say about what he had to say there. I do know that Coach Huggins was trying to work with ESPN after the game. I had read to find a camera angle to really find out what was going on here.
Okay. Good.
So if they do find something that's incriminating to Jimmy, we'll update that situation. But until we don't know, we don't know what we don't know, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna stick with my guy till otherwise.
Right, and that's kind of how I feel too. Like I said, and I know you feel the same way because you and I talked about it off air. If he did intentionally throw a water bottle into the stands, totally wrong, and he should be punished for that. Okay.
Sure.
He's got to control his emotions.
1 game, 2 games, probably.
He shouldn't be throwing a water bottle, period. But if he was throwing it down to the ground and it bounced, that's an incident that was accidental. I don't think that's that big a deal. You know what I'm saying? Should he have done it? No, but it's not worth all this hoopla over. And the mother thing, like I said earlier, I think any man worth, as they say here in West Virginia, worth a hill of beans, any man worth his salt would defend his mother in a situation where somebody's got their finger in her face, in my opinion. I know I would. So, and to me, if you wouldn't, I got a problem with any man that wouldn't defend their mom in that situation. If you want my honest opinion, because that's your mama, man. Your mama, your wife or significant other, and your daughters. You would die for those people, man. And I'll stick by that. Your sister is another one. Any female family member that a man wouldn't defend, man might need to see if he's got any cojones, in my opinion. But anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. So, end of the day, TCU fans, you need to calm down. Quit throwing out borderline racially insensitive comment. I don't even know if it's borderline. Quit throwing out racially insensitive comments. Quit accusing this guy of being something he's not, and stop putting your finger in women's faces if that's indeed what happened. That's my message to TCU fans. And if you're ashamed to be called a Christian, stop taking money from the church. Whole nother discussion. With that being said, any final thoughts, Paul, on this topic?
Nope, nothing else to say, Couz. I think we pretty much covered it all, man.
Okay. Well, if we get any news on this, obviously we'll try to bring it to you guys the best we can. Paul and I really appreciate your all's support. We appreciate you tuning in to another episode of Hoops from the Hills. And until the next time, we are out.